Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Whatcom County Council meeting for November 8th, 2017. Could you please call the roll?
Barbara Brenner.
Here.
Red Brown.
Here.
Barry Buchanan.
Here.
Todd Donovan.
Present.
Ken Mann.
Here.
Satpal Sidhu.
Here.
Carl Weimer.
Here. Thank you. Would you please stand and join me in the flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, just a couple of real quick announcements. Just make sure your cell phones are off or on vibrate. And tonight, during any of our public hearings or open session, if you have paperwork you're handing out to the council, please include a copy for our staff. Council, I need to move the schedule around just a little bit. We're going to have the confirmation of, as soon as I get to it.
So he doesn't have to sit through the whole meeting?
Request confirmation of the county executive's appointment of Stark Follis for public defender effective January 1st, 2018 pursuant to Whatcom County Code section 2.09.100. And I think Executive Lyles is going to give us some words.
Just before you do that, I just want people to know I'm not ignoring you. I've got to wear these for a couple days.
No problem.
Well, it's just, it looks
Thank
weird,
you.
I know.
Council, thanks so much for the opportunity to be up here tonight. Stark, could you come up here? It's a pretty important position that we're working on here, and I'm pleased to ask for the council's confirmation of Stark Follis as Whatcom County's public defender effective January 1, 2018. Stark has served 6 years as the chief deputy of the public defender's office, and prior to that he was a partner at Resig, Hansen, and Follis, where he served as a private criminal defense lawyer for 20 years. Stark also worked in Skagit County's public defender's office for 5 years. He comes with a solid recommendation from the Public Defenders Advisory Committee and many members of our law and justice community in Whatcom County. As you know, John Komorowski is retiring at the end of this year, and he's done an exceptional job as our public defender. Stark brings his years of experience working with John, and I'm convinced that he will carry on the tradition of excellence for which our public defender's office is known. Council, I introduce to you tonight Stark Follis. He'd like to say a couple of words, and again, I'm asking for your confirmation of Stark as our new public defender. Stark?
Thank you. Thank you, Jack. It's really an honor and a pleasure to be appointed to be the next public defender. As some of you may not know, the office was created in 1982, and we've only had 2 directors. The first one was John Osland, and John Komorowski was his chief deputy. The second director was John Komorowski, and I was his chief deputy. And so as we move forward, I think it's really important to continue that culture in the office. I'm in this sort of strange situation now of having to hire somebody to replace myself, and that process is going to happen next week. But I'm absolutely going to do that with an eye to that person potentially being the next director in some number of years. I'm not ready to retire yet. I've got lots of energy. I look forward to coming to work every single morning. I really love the people I work with. I've got a couple of them here in the audience here today that I just absolutely love seeing when I come to work in the morning. So we're going to continue the office culture. We're going to work with all the components of the county, and especially those components of the criminal justice system, to make things efficient and really work well. And above all else, we're going to provide the very best defense for the citizens accused in Whatcom County. So thank you for entertaining Jack's motion. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Yes, Ms. Brenner.
Thank you. I know how difficult it is what you do, and I have really appreciated you, so I'm glad you're the one.
Thank you.
Okay, Council, I would entertain a motion for confirmation of Mr. Follis.
Move approval.
I'll second. Oops, I'll third.
It's been moved, second, and thirded. So any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. Congratulations.
And Stark's wife, Pam, is in the audience, and I know that she's a great support for
Hi, Pam.
Stark, and I met her, and it's good to have you here tonight too, Pam. All right, thank you, council.
Thank you.
Okay, we will move into our public hearings. We just have one tonight. Members of the public who have signed up at the back of the room prior to the beginning of our meeting will be called first and are asked to form a line behind the signs on either side of the podium. If you are unable to sign up before the meeting, you'll be given opportunity to address the council. Each speaker should state his or her name for the record, and you'll be given 3 minutes to address the council. And council staff will keep track of your time. You will be, and they will let you know when you have 30 seconds left, and they will let you know when your time is through. So, our first public hearing is a resolution approving the sale of an easement over Whatcom County owned property. And our survey says we have 2 people signed up. George,
Actually, I need to speak during the open session.
Oh.
okay,
Sign up
okay.
for the wrong thing.
John Sicken?
You may want to hear from the staff on this matter first then, where it's,
We don't do it that
you
way.
want to hear from us first.
What about,
This is the Emma Road property sale,
yeah,
and the easement.
yeah.
I anticipated the staff report first, and I was,
Is there a staff report on this?
It was in our
Oh, there
packet.
it is. All right.
That was in the
give you an overview.
packet.
We've all read the packet.
We read it.
Okay, I'm not
Yeah,
trying to take
get
your
up
time,
here.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
My apologies. My name's John Sitkin, and I represent the property owner in this matter. My office is at 1500 Railroad Avenue. I know most of you, some I haven't met, but are we familiar? I had a presentation.
Talk into that
I
microphone.
will. I had a
see
presentation,
people
but
doing that.
lawyers always learn that don't argue with yes. I hope this is pretty straightforward, and I won't take your time. I'm more inclined to answer any questions you might have and any background. My client, Terry Daughters, is here in the front row, and I think it's self-explanatory on what the proposal is and what we're seeking. So unless you have questions, I won't take your time tonight.
Does anybody have any questions?
Not for you, but for staff.
Okay. And maybe I
Thank
can
you,
help
John.
fill in.
So
So of course, we ask you to approve this.
Okay, so anyone else want to speak? Okay, we'll close the public hearing. Staff, did you want to say anything before we deliberate here?
I do. It's,
Andrew Hester, Public Works.
can I ask them?
Yeah.
Okay, I appreciate all this and everything. My only concern is, what if the county at some point decides it wants to do some kind of easement need for public health and safety or water resources or something? We keep easements all the time on places so that we can build different types of water purveying systems, or not just private people, but the county does it too. So what if we needed that to put something in there that was necessary for the public?
This easement would allow for us to use it for underground utilities, but other than that,
Okay.
we wouldn't be able to do anything once we approve this easement.
So if we decided the area needed some kind of water quality upgrade that we would do, kind of like what we do in the Lake Whatcom watershed and a lot of other places, would we have access to do that if it was going to be underground?
Yeah, if it was going to be underground, we would.
Okay, all right.
Wait, I have a question for Andrew.
Yeah.
In the resolution, and I don't know if we have a deed or anything like that, but anyway, it's in the whereas, it says occupation of a portion of the Emma Road property. I was just curious about the choice of the word occupation. Is that a term of art? Is that a technical term, or is that just one you guys used when you wrote in there?
So the easement in the packet, it's essentially like an occupation that they can use that area for what they're using it now for, which is like landscaping and fence. So they'd be occupying that area, but they wouldn't own it.
Right, so possession is clearly different than occupation.
Yeah,
So, okay, yeah, and by the way, I totally support this. I was just curious about that, the choice of that word, but, yeah, I looked at the map, I looked at the overheads, it seems totally reasonable. Frankly, I think they're overpaying us, but, that's
Oh, boy.
Terry's choice, so.
What a big move he's
He's our negotiator.
Yeah, right.
He was our negotiator.
Was our negotiator.
Oh, John has one other thing.
Yeah, go ahead,
I can
John.
address your question, I think, Councilmember Brenner, and it was our appraisal, we agreed, but it was our appraisal.
Oh, it was your
I
appraiser?
was surprised as well.
Okay.
This is unique in that this piece of property, the county owns in fee simple, and then it abuts an existing right-of-way, which is Emma Street. So
Yeah.
the easement is only over a portion of the property that you own in fee. So if essentially there's roughly, as I recall, about 100, or maybe about 50 feet of width of the property that you own, and the easement's only over about half of that. So you still own a portion of that fee unencumbered. So there is a large area that you could put a water facility in
Yeah.
in the future. That is an area the county currently uses as overflow parking along with the right-of-way that exists
Okay.
abutting the fee interest you have. That was kind of the unique circumstance here.
Works for me.
Okay, what's the wishes of the council?
Sorry, I have a question if I may.
What's that?
I have a question if I may.
Yeah.
So, the idea is to place an easement over half the property. What is the change in the utility of the remaining half of the property? In other words, what can we no longer do, or what value are we really losing?
On the piece that's unencumbered by the easement?
Well, no, if the property at the moment, as I'm looking at it on Google Earth, it looks like it's adequate enough to build a residence on, correct?
Yeah, it's not a buildable site.
Because,
It's one of those platted lots where it's not large enough.
so wouldn't meet the minimum requirement to build on?
That's correct.
Okay, all right. So then, by giving away half of it, we're not losing we're not losing the ability to do something that we could otherwise do.
That's correct, yeah.
Okay.
Right now, we just use it for parking, and yeah, we could, if to sell it, it wouldn't be a buildable lot.
Okay, all right, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay, I'd entertain a motion.
I move approval.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
We did have discussion.
Not
Questions?
before.
Okay.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously.
Thank you, Councilman.
Okay, now we will move into our open session. This is the same deal. If you want to testify, come up and state your name, topic of interest. And if your name is complicated, please spell it. You don't have to, George, because you wrote it down, and it is complicated. But anyway, same thing, 3 minutes and a 30-second warning. So go ahead, George.
Speaking.
Yeah, right there.
I'm here to my name is George Rounthwaite, Rounthawaite. I live at 7371 Woodland Road, which is just north of Enterprise and Hartselle. And for years, we've been asking for flood relief in that area. I'm representing 7 other neighbors that are also affected by the groundwater there. Over the last 10 years or so, the water drainage has been getting steadily less. And that is because the culvert that's half a mile away that we depend on is the same elevation as the bottoms of our ditches, half a mile away. Traditionally, the water from this area drained both to California Creek, Dakota Creek, and the Nooksack, because we are in a bowl at the 63-foot level. We are 63 feet off of sea level. We are 35 feet above the Nooksack. There's really no reason that we should have groundwater above grade. But for the last 9 years, whenever it rains more than an inch, my shop goes underwater by 3 to 4 inches. And so I've been putting up things now, getting ready for the winter, that again, it will rise above that, because there is no relief, there is no drainage off the top. So it needs an overflow. And the county did a marvelous job 2 weeks ago cleaning out all the ditches around our area except the one that would connect us to the reach called L81. That's the drainages in the drainage management plan in Whatcom County are done by reaches. And we are on reach L81, and I'm asking for an additional 120 feet of that ditch to be dug out just to connect our ditches so that so the water cannot get above grade in the woodland neighborhood. That's all. And I've been round and round with it, with
30
with
seconds, please.
dikes and drainage. I've been to drainage management, roads and ditches, county engineers, the county executive. I've seen you guys last year. I've met with the gentleman that runs the dikes and drainage, Travis Bauma, and they're doing everything they can do, but traditionally, they say they can't dig that ditch out. So I'm asking that we extend reach L81 120 feet.
Time.
So that we cannot flood. Please.
Yeah.
Before you go, could you put this in writing and who specifically you spoke to?
Yes,
Yeah,
I'd
and
be
just send
happy
it
to.
to the council.
and send it to,
Council at
Council.
co.watcom.wa.us.
I'd be happy to. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I just ask you, add an explanation as to why you've been told it can't be done? In the email.
You already
yeah.
said.
Yeah.
what
I
you
will
said.
explain that.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Gwen Hunter, Squalicum Valley. I got an email regarding, I think, your Councilman Weimer's request that a special funding district be set up in the unincorporated area around Whatcom Reservoir to provide local fees to be used in conjunction with other funding to address water quality, which is a huge issue. And as a result of discussions, I learned about the Wildwood development in what is the most pristine area of our watershed. I don't understand how you can allow development there. Wildwood Resort started in the 1930s. It was a tenting area. It's been bought by a Canadian developer, platted into 90 spots for 90 cottages, which are being sold, just the land, not the cottages, just the land, is being sold for between $100,000 and $300,000 a piece for these little patchwork places. They want to cut 70 trees in our watershed, including 200 feet along the shoreline. They want to dredge, and they're creating more mooring capability for more motorboats, and they've enlarged a gasoline filling station on dock, on the water, and they're advertising it as the only, on their lake, but it's a reservoir, drinking water reservoir, gas station, basically, for boats on a reservoir. It's insane. So I don't know how you guys can justify it. I know the city has been buying property in order to protect the reservoir from development, but how did this get happen? I don't get it. Anyway, has there been an environmental impact study of this gasoline dock that they're advertising to wealthy Canadians and Europeans? Do they have a viable spill cleanup plan? This is our drinking water. It's not a lake. It's no longer a recreational lake. It is Whatcom Reservoir, not Lake Whatcom. And that name needs to be changed. There were people on the list who live in the watershed who didn't know that that was the source of their drinking water. And they said that they've never lived anywhere where a recreational lake was the source of drinking water. And now they've found out that they are. I mean, it's insane.
30 seconds,
Oh
please.
dear, okay. They've banned tents, they're cutting trees to develop a summer playground for foreigners in our drinking water, and I'm wondering what you plan to do about it. I'm going to fight any additional fee as long as development is continuing and deforestation is continuing in our drinking watershed. And I really do ask you to please rename it to Whatcom Reservoir so that people know what
Time.
it is. Thank you.
Yeah.
Actually, it's for Tyler. Okay, never mind. Okay, I'm gonna ask anyway. Tyler, before you start talking to her, could you give the council an update? We have had a number of complaints about that development, so I would like to know what the situation is. Thank you.
Irene Morgan, Whatcom County, 71 years, in the same property. I'm honored to be here again to speak with all of you. I'm very excited, as you know. I've opposed the jail tax from the beginning. Barbara, you once said to me, Irene, why are you wasting your time? The ship has sailed. Well, it's still in the harbor, I think, and I'm really excited because of all the things that we can do and have already done in the task force. And I'd like to give credit where credit is due. Ferndale Mayor John Mutchler stated that there were, with disparaging remarks, that there were 7 people out of 50-some that had not supported the jail on the ballot. And someone was really upset that that was being said, and I says, well, so why don't we honor those 7 people? So I'm here tonight to give certificates and badges, change agent badges, to the 3 of you who voted against the jail tax and to not put it on the ballot. I fully appreciate your courage, your right action, and the opportunity for us to move forward with a sane jail, a safe jail, and a smaller jail, so that we don't incarcerate our citizens. So with that, I'd like to distribute them. Thank you, Kim.
Thank you, Irene.
I so appreciate it. I know how hard you've worked on the task force.
Thanks, that's very sweet.
Gary,
That's great. Thank you.
again, I very much appreciate all your efforts and your continued perseverance. Thank you, Todd. So very much appreciated. Thank you. Short and sweet this time.
My name is Joseph McDonald, and it is obvious that I have a speech impediment. My topic tonight is the delusional Christianity in the city of Bellingham. The reason why I give this speech to the county is because the city has a censorship rule which demonstrates they are communistic. Regardless of yesterday night's city council results, non-resistance of the so-called Christians of this city over the past few years has determined that a certain amount of hate is acceptable in this community. If you have decided that trying to talk to the fanatics is a big waste of breath and they will just be rude and obnoxious to you, you are right. But if you decided not to protest them, which the last few years have proven to be true, then you have allowed them to win and let their hatred exist. 2 other people recently protested them, and the fanatics became enraged in their hate and were even more rude and obnoxious than usual and chased them away. Everyone else seems too intimidated to even try to protest them. The next time you drive by or walk past the fanatics, please don't appease them by flipping them off or arguing with them. Instead, realize that if you were going to take any positive, effective, pro-action towards them, you would have done so by now, and your non-action shows that, unfortunately, you are for them by default. Pretty soon, everyone, including council members, will have to make a choice between Jesus or the devil. And please don't be fooled by the devil coming to earth impersonating Jesus Christ. You can read about the devil's appearance in Revelations 12:12. I would also like to point out the Bible verse, Matthew 24:4, which states, "Take heed that no man deceive you." The fanatics of this city have made it very clear that unlike pair robbers, they are not wolves in sheep's clothing. In my opinion, by their actions, they have represented the devil in the past few years. Thank you, and God bless America while it's still here. Oh, I just want to add, I really like Christmas decorations before Thanksgiving, but I will gladly give them up when the real Jesus comes.
Robert Lieb, Whatcom County resident and leader of One Sane Jail. So now it's twice that the jail tax has failed. Hopefully you will not waste any more tax dollars and try for a third time in 2019. I hope that you finally get the message that the citizens do not want you to expand the jail system in Whatcom County. There have been so many things that you could have spent the money on that have so far been wasted on promoting a failed system. You've also wasted valuable time as you all sat there and watched the jail fall apart. I could not believe the article in the Herald today where the sheriff stated the county will move quickly to strengthen security and safety at the existing jail and listen to the jail opponents who sought alternatives to incarceration. Where were the citizens, or why were the citizens ignored last time? The sheriff is the person that told me that the care and upgrading of the building was an impossible task and that the county would not even give him the funds needed to properly care for it. Now, a day after the second no vote, the world all of a sudden changes. Amazing how that happens. The sheriff also stated that some inmates will be moved outside the county, and he hates to separate people from their families and their support group. But everyone knows that they make it so difficult to even visit an inmate in that jail and expensive to phone them that it is next to impossible to be there for support. The whole pro-jail fight has been filled with so much misinformation that it has become unbearable to even listen to. I've been impressed by how many people have spoken out. I can't believe how many lawyers stood up, even when knowing that reform will cost them money. Their comments to me were that the justice system in this town has been twisted for so many years, and now's the time for change. Putting a stop to this jail is just a start. We urgently need justice reform. We need mental health and substance abuse treatment. For the proponents of the jail to even try to convince us that having mental health treatment in the jail was the way to go was just obscene. We want progressive leaders, not people stuck in the past. I've always been a private person, but have never been involved in anything like this. I've learned a lot about how to get the word out when I see injustices around me. I sincerely hope that you do not try to slide this through in some other manner like a property tax. We've told you no twice, and it's still the same. No means no. I would like to thank the people who stood up and made a difference, as well as the counselors who took a stand for what is right. Thank you, Mr. Donovan. Thank you, Mr. Mann, and thank you, Mr. Buchanan. To the rest of you, I hope that you've learned a valuable lesson. You now have your mandate, so please get to work and do what is right for the citizens. Whether we have made mistakes in life,
30
have mental
seconds,
health
please.
issues, behavioral problems, or substance abuse issues, we're still citizens and we deserve to be treated with respect and not thrown in a cell and forgotten. In the end, it was probably a good thing that you tried to pass this again because it generated a lot of discussion, so we were able to educate a lot of people as to how the system churns people through that jail and spits them out, only to become homeless and destitute. It was a lot of work on our part, but I could not be happier with the result.
My name is Joy Gilfill, and I'm president of the Restorative Community Coalition. And I, too, am very, very pleased with the result of this election, and I'm very sad that we have had to waste so many years and so many millions of dollars in order to get a voice heard. I deeply appreciate the fact that we've had to fight so hard, because finally, many, many people in this community are listening, and there are a lot of them that are very angry right now. And we just sent a letter. I'm delivering to you guys the handheld version of it. We sent a letter to Mr. David McEachran. It's an official notice of election law violations and demand for immediate prosecutorial action, calling for a special prosecutor investigation into the issues that are going on in Whatcom County. These were spurred by a letter and by a lot of inappropriate behavior by some of your sheriff's deputies and corrections deputies on Facebook with libel and copyright infringement issues. There are other things that are going to become public. I wrote an article just a couple days ago, it finally dawned on me that what we've all been done is we've been held ransom to this jail tax. Every single person in this county, we have been held hostage to the idea that the only option is to build a brand new jail. And we've never considered the alternative. We delivered a final environmental impact statement to the citizens of this county that said that the only option was to build a brand new jail or the no action alternative when we had illegal conditions in the jail in the first place. That's a problem. We did deliver to the council in 2015 the Stop Punishing Taxpayers report. I'm giving you copies of all three of these documents tonight. But I also want to acknowledge the fact that Jack Lowes in the Bellingham Herald newspaper yesterday, or maybe it's this morning, I don't know when it came out, I guess it's this morning, and he said, it's an issue that's been very contentious in the community, Lowes said. This is probably one of the few times I've totally and completely agreed with you, Jack. It's time for those that weren't on board to step forward with what their solution is going to be. I'm willing to listen to them and let them be leaders. In the spirit of leadership, I would like to ask a couple things. One of them, that we have an opportunity as a coalition
30 seconds, please.
to present to the council on either November 21st or December 5th, a 15 to 30 minute presentation about a presentation that we would like to organize and would like you all to sponsor as a full-on public meeting in March that would be open. You guys would be hosted the event at Bellingham High School for a full public explanation of what all the solutions are that are available to the community. This does have a precedent. Don Pike did it when he opened it up, and he invited all the council and all the people in the community officials to attend as keynote listeners. You would not be expected to respond. You would actually be there to truly hear all the solutions that are coming forward from different groups in the community. This would not just be our group, it would be many. We would appreciate
Time.
assistance in making that happen. Thank you.
Wendy Harris. I'm here to speak about the critical area ordinance. I was at some of the committee meeting tonight, this afternoon, and I was a little concerned by what I heard. And I think that the council is losing perspective on what the critical area ordinance is. It is a development regulation that is intended to protect the functions and values of critical areas and the ecosystems in which they're located through the application of best available science. What I see when I come to or listen to committee meetings and your work sessions is attempts to accommodate the growth community or the agricultural community on their property rights. And that's not the intention of the CAO. It's about protecting functions and values of critical areas that we need to survive and to keep our land healthy and to keep us prosperous. And I would really hope you'd keep that perspective in the future. And I'm also concerned that what was supposed to come out of review of the best available science report did not. The problem with the best available science report is that it was supposed to drive the development regulations. I think to some extent the council is still acting as if, like during the comp plan, you're working on general policies and goals, but we're beyond this. Because these are development regulations, there are rules and laws and science that very strictly regulate what must be done. And for some reason, you're being told you can do whatever you want. Actually, I can think of no place where you're more restricted in what you're supposed to do than in the CAO. The way this is supposed to work is first you review the science and the updated laws, and then you use that to go in and to draft your development regulations that protect the critical areas. What actually happened here was the reverse. The staff developed the critical area ordinance, and then they sort of pulled in the science that they thought supported what they wanted to do. And case law is very clear. You're not allowed to do that. You can't pick and choose based on supporting policies that you want. I've sent in quite a bit of best available science, and I've asked you to include
30
that
seconds,
in the
please.
best available science that goes into the record, and you haven't. And some of that's been quite germane to some of the issues you're concerned about regarding agriculture. And I'd like to say that I'm a little concerned because there also seems to be a misunderstanding about best management practices, which is what the county is using and wants to continue to use. Best management practices still have to
Time.
comply with best available science. And we know that they don't because of all the contamination that's going into the groundwater. Thank you.
Max Perry, Whatcom County. And I'm going to do the opposite of what these last few have done about the jail, is that I'm going to say that you've let down 216,000 people now. Now, a couple of you will only have to wait just a few months and you'll be off the hook. The rest of you are on the hook. The rest of the 216,000 are on the hook until this jail, which all of your people that have been in here to inspect our jail have said cannot be brought up to code, cannot be brought up to, but we're going to have to try to do it with no funding. So there's going to be property tax. There's going to be, that's going to have to be the funding for it. So I'm disappointed, and it's a no-win situation. It's bad for the people that have to work in the jail. It's dangerous, and it's bad for the people that are in the jail. And there's no remediation for the people that are on drugs, that are mentally have problems on it. It's just, they're all in one. If you see 20 ladies in one cell, go up there and look, take a look at it. It's abysmal, and it's not even human. Thank you.
Carol Perry, Whatcom County. I want to go back to the discussion this morning in committee about the jail. As you know, I was here through all of the testimony and all of the study about the jail. I don't think I missed maybe one time. And I have compassion on the things that you have to deal with. Impossible problems, and you have people on both sides. And lots of times you're called on to make decisions about things that you haven't had time to study, to research, and you're still required to make the decision. But on the jail issue, when I hear some of you saying we should start over, my heart just fell. Why? If I had 10 minutes, I could maybe. 3 advisory committees, a search for a suitable location all over the county. They were evaluated. You looked at them. You made a decision. You chose one. You bought one. DLR, no committee knew how many beds. So you got a DLR, a professional organization. They studied it. You still didn't know how many beds. They said, okay, we'll make it, we'll build pods. We'll build it small, but then we can expand it if we need more. That seems like a really logical thing to do. But the services, the kitchen, all of these service areas wouldn't change. You just expand. I saw the floor plan. I think at last there was $150,000 to DLR, and that wasn't the end. So I don't know. But at every point, and Councilman
30
Kremen
seconds, please.
was on the council when you came to a decision point, and he said, oh, too many beds, let's make it smaller. What I'm saying is to start over would be the biggest waste of money. And I know both sides of the political spectrum were talking about too much money, too much money. Are we going to throw away $3 million, $150,000, 3 different companies that came and told us it's
Time.
past? Everybody says we need a jail. I challenge Mr. Schroeder. I challenge the executive. I challenge you. Add up the SEPA, all these different things, and you tell me you want to start over?
Hi, my name is Natasha Raming, Whatcom County. I live in Fairhaven. I'm actually relatively new to the area. Moved here in 2015 from San Diego. Was quite looking forward to it. My background is in healthcare-related research. My interests are in access, equity, and quality, and I have a special place in my heart for looking at mental health and substance use disorder treatment disparities. I came up here, one of the first things I looked at was your community health needs assessment. You people clearly have a problem here with drugs and behavioral health treatment and a lack of that treatment. There is a disparity, there are not enough facilities, there is not enough funding. Fast forward to 2017, community health and needs assessment, same problem. Whatcom County has a higher suicide rate than the state average. We rank like 3rd and 6th for feeling the negative effects of prescription drug and heroin abuse. Where are we? Where were we yesterday? Looking at using the safety net as a jail for public health issues. You know, I actually got into your budgets and looked at where money went and where money was taken from, these different funds, substance use disorder treatment, victims witness fund, veteran fund, jail fund, general fund, whatever, for this jail endeavor, for benefits, for whatever it is that you all wanted to use it on, right? But what I suggest you do now going forward is look at what we need in the community here. We need more attention paid to the drivers of incarceration. We need more attention paid to the health of our communities. We need more attention paid to zoning so that we can have treatment facilities put in appropriate places. We need more attention paid to access for our community members and making sure that they can get that treatment, that continuity of care, and that they're being treated in an equal manner. You know, we need more attention paid to the disparities in this community. You know, and if you would pay a little more attention to what is going on in the community and maybe think about dumping a ton of money into those sorts of things, we wouldn't have to be dumping money into a place like a jail and using it as a safety net. You know, a jail is not a therapeutic environment for somebody who has substance use disorder, somebody has behavioral health issues, has comorbid issues going on.
30 seconds, please.
And I just want to say that coming from a urban area, a place like San Diego, you guys are way behind the times. It's time to catch up because this problem's just going to snowball for you. So this is your opportunity. The jail was voted down. Let's look at like moving forward in a healthy, productive, cohesive, healing manner, please. Thank you.
Anyone else like to speak to us during the open session? Seeing none, we will close the open session and move to finance.
Mr. Chair, the Whatcom County Finance and Administrative Services Committee met today. We considered items 1 through 4 on the consent agenda. These received unanimous approval, and I so move.
Okay, we have that motion. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously.
Mr. Chair, the next item was a resolution setting hearing and notice of hearing of the sale of county tax title property by negotiation request number TR 2017-04. This received unanimous approval, and I so move.
Okay, we have that motion in front of us. Do we have any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously.
Mr. Chair, the next item is request authorization for the county executive to enter into a contract between Whatcom County Flood Control Zone District and Geneva Consulting Services for coordination of the Whatcom County Local Integrating Organisation in the amount of $68,970. In this case, the council is acting as the Whatcom County Flood Control Zone District Board of Supervisors. This received unanimous approval, and I so move.
Okay. Any discussion on this motion? Ms. Brenner?
Yeah. I'm not going to support this because it didn't even go to the planning unit for their recommendation. And I'm really getting tired of the planning unit being, kind of like what some people said about other things, being dealt like second class. And that that's so diverse and so important to doing this stuff right, to not even ask for a recommendation really bothers me, and I'm not supporting it.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
That passes 6-1 with Councilmember Brenner opposed.
Mr. Chair, there was nothing else from Finance.
Okay, thank you. The next item, we already done. The one after that is a resolution requesting the county executive to make minor changes to improve service to the public and eliminate the need for staff to perform certain repetitive tasks. I'm going to turn this back over to Mr. Brown because he is the originator.
So I'd like to move approval of this. Need a second?
I'll second it. It wasn't in our original packet, so do you want to talk about it a little bit?
Yeah, just, the timing of this is just simply because of the issue about the budget. And I just wanted to make sure, I was told that we had a sort of a deadline for bringing forward things for budget. So that's the timing for this, but the trigger point for me was really, when we had the Vera report, we had quite a large crowd there, and there was probably a disproportionate number of women in the room. And during the breaks, there's 2 washrooms in the bottom of the Civic Centre, and during the breaks, they're male and female single-store washrooms. The guys go in there and they use the washroom. I came out. There was no other guy waiting to use a washroom, and there was 4 or 6 women lined up for the women's room. And I just said, well, I just sort of thought this is the classic problem for all women is the facilities don't match the needs. In fact, I actually told them just go ahead and use the men's room. And it just made me realise, why on earth do we have them gender specific? So I just thought of that, and then it just reminded me of other issues. I've now twice seen I assume as a father, changing his baby's diapers on the floor of the county public restrooms because there's no baby change station in the restrooms. And I'm just thinking, and I believe there's either ones in the women's rooms or there's ones on different floors. But I'm just thinking these are just little things that we can do. So that was what motivated it. So.
Well, these seemed like good ideas to me. I just...
Yeah. Ms. Brenner?
Well, I'm very supportive of the first and second one. I went into the new Costco, and they got a public restroom, can be used by anybody. And that was very interesting and surprising. But I liked it, and I'm not sure about the second one, whether there's a problem with, if you have a public restroom and they just have those changing tables in there, then you don't have to do a special thing for changing tables because they'd be in those restrooms. The third one, though, I'm not going to support that part of it. It would be nice to have a permanent something for the council because we're that special. But part of the reason we've got those temporary things there is for council day because we don't have enough parking, and I don't want that stuff. I don't want those parking places to be withheld from people on off days. And it was, there were budget restrictions. I would definitely like to hear from the administration before we even talk about that, before we even think about doing that third one.
Ms. Brenner, the way I read it, it would only be on Tuesdays that we would,
But
the reserved parking, the signs, I think, would mention Tuesdays.
The reserves are there.
But it could say reserved on, or it could say no parking on Tuesdays except for council members or something. You could have a sign that said that.
I guess you could, but, you know, I think those cones actually work the best. They're rarely, I mean, it bothers me when people are in our few spaces that we have on council days, but I think it's gonna happen more with some sign that nobody's gonna look at. I'd rather hear what the administration has to say about that first. We've discussed this before, and you know, the way it was written too, I'm sorry, but it made it sound like we're more important than everybody else.
I just saw the resolution this afternoon. I don't have it in front of me, but the
Yeah.
first one was concerning putting signs on the restrooms, on the single stall restrooms, that either male or female could use it. But there's no problem with that.
I don't have a problem
On the
with
public side of it, I don't have any challenges with doing that. As for putting the baby changing tables in the single stall restrooms that are minimally sized ADA, there's a question of whether or not you're going to be able to put those in there and still meet the strict requirements of ADA. And ADA requirements are very, very strict. Just talking to Mike about that, but I know that I actually had that discussion with him a few months ago. Installed, they're about $500 a piece. We probably have 30 restrooms right now that they could go in, and $15,000 it could happen. I don't know that we would want to do that on every floor, but we'll think about it and come up with maybe a suitable option of making sure that we have them on every floor and have them identified in the restrooms of where they're at. Might be another solution to it. As for the signs, you know, we have staff that go out there about every 2 hours, I think, during the day to check the parking spots out. We put signs up for you guys. Obviously, they wouldn't have to pack them out on every other Tuesday. And of course, you guys wouldn't have to move them if it was raining when you parked your cars. So if you want us to put posts in the ground and put permanent signs up, we definitely can do it. So there, I've given you my,
Okay.
there's nothing that you've said here is impossible. It's not big dollar issues, and we can make it happen if that's what you so choose to do.
So, can I just finish? So you don't have an opinion one way or another on that third one?
On the signs,
Okay.
you know, from my perspective, I don't think that it's creating a whole lot of extra work for our parking staff right now, or for our security team to go out and do that, because they go out and check the parking lot on a regular basis throughout the days. But if council would like to have a sign in front of those stalls that say, hey, reserved for Whatcom County Council every Tuesday, you know, that's not that big of a deal, and it can be done.
Mr. Brown.
It's just your decision.
Just one clarification, if it would break the ADA requirements, I don't have a problem with not putting something in there.
And I understand that. It's just, you know, I would say that working to get more changing tables and making sure that we have them on every floor and making sure that people know where they're at is probably the solution to that particular problem.
Well, and what was driving this, because frankly, I wouldn't have occasion to walk into a single stall where a guy was changing his kid's diaper. It's in the multi-stall ones where you walk in there and there's several people there.
The main floor right here has one in it, and I don't know, but you know, I go up to 5th floor and that doesn't have as big a restroom in it, but I don't know whether there's a changing table there or not.
So, anyway, that's the motivation.
I don't know.
You know.
I'll make it my business, but that's one that I haven't made my business quite yet.
It's not a high priority.
Haven't brought my grandkids down.
Anyway, but I think it's important. So.
I don't have any problem with the resolution. Pass the resolution. We'll take a look at it, and in the next 3-4 months, we'll do what we can with it. It's not a problem.
Ms. Brenner.
I move to amend to, is it called trifurcate, if it's 3 things? 1 and 2, I would like to support tonight, but I just feel uncomfortable supporting that 3rd one. And you know.
I don't think you trifurcate in
It's
this
not
case.
the-
You have to amend this to remove it.
Okay, I meant to remove it. And then you can do it, you can vote on it separately.
Okay, is there a second to her motion to remove
Sure,
it?
I'll second it, but if you want to vote and then not vote on that, we will set it up.
Thank
So you
you.
don't have to do that.
Okay, so removal of item 3 from the resolution is the motion, and it's been seconded. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
No. That fails 5 to 2, 2 to 5. Okay, so now we have the, yes, sir.
My parking expert, Mike Russell, just whispered into my ear that on the parking days that you guys aren't there, we have Board of Equalization, we have numbers of other groups that we put signs out for them also. So
Gee, what are we gonna do for them then?
on your every other Tuesday that we have that, that means if it's reserved for you guys, then we're gonna take additional parking spots up for the other people that we're using for. So it does get a bit more complicated. And the challenge is parking is a challenge. I mean, we have, a couple hundred people that work in this building that are not using our parking spots or are parking in the surrounding area within a couple blocks to do it. And that's why it's kind of nice if these spots only get used every couple weeks is to kind of go through the process we're doing and run them as efficiently as we can. Again, it's your decision on it.
I mean, we use the same spots when we do surface water work sessions, at least I do anyway. So,
Okay, so you want to leave it alone?
yeah.
Okay. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the original version of this resolution, say aye.
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 Opposed? That
I
passes.
abstain. I didn't
Oh,
vote.
okay,
I
you wanna abstain?
Yeah.
So that passes 6-0 with 1 abstention.
There's signs, I'll at least know where those spots are. I've never used
Whoa.
one.
So we have just a
There's
few
cones.
items to introduce tonight,
That was correct.
17.
It's really good.
I would entertain a motion to introduce these items.
I'll move introduction.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on any of these?
There's one item that needs to be removed from the list, I believe, number 16.
Good.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, right. Postponed.
So we were voting on items 1 through 15 and 17. Any discussion on those? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. We will go to committee reports. Finance?
Mr. Chair, we had in addition to the regular Finance Committee meeting, we had a discussion on the budget amendments for the year. Totaling, amendments to the proposed budget for 2018, the amendments totaled $20,456,067. I think the general consensus of the committee was the current format is a bit hard to understand, and so we've asked for a bit more exhibits to make it more accessible to the public.
Okay, thank you. We had a committee of the whole meeting today in executive session. It was discussion with Public Works staff regarding a potential property acquisition, and there was no action taken. Public Works?
We had a quarterly report from the County Public Works Department. And this was kind of my favorite update from Public Works on possible quiet zone proposal for Cliffside Drive, but that could be used as a, Yacht Club Road that we did. We could have a format instead of everybody going, oh, now what do we do on each request? And I really appreciated Public Works. We did a motion to ask them to come back to us with some kind of a proposal on how we would do it, and I think it's a great idea. The other thing was update from Public Works staff on establishing stormwater district in the Lake Whatcom watershed to fund implementation of the Lake Whatcom Management Program. This is the part about the boundaries, and I have no problem with that. And the only thing I'm concerned about with this whole thing is I don't want to see anybody charged anything if they're not creating the problem. And the others who create the problem should be charged. And if it comes out that way, I'll support it. If not, I'm not going to. Thank you.
Okay. We had a special committee of the whole meeting today, and we talked about the critical areas ordinance again, and a number of items came up that we want to get a little bit more staff input. And so we put that on hold for another 2 weeks. Actually, we're going to work on it next week. We have a special meeting next week at 1:30. We also talked about, had a discussion of a proposed ordinance adopting Whatcom County zoning code amendments relating to the resort commercial district, planned unit development chapter, and a new density credits chapter. And this is primarily, it's about Birch Bay and about the kind of the cottage nature of some of the neighborhoods in the Birch Bay area. And we'd be looking at some of the equivalents of the purchase and development rights as far as how we would credit those. And that was it. That was just information only. So any other items of business? Mr. Weimer?
Yeah, just one that I'll mention. Last year when we were working on the comp plan, we put a new thing in there that we were going to create a climate change impact advisory committee. And our always astute clerk pointed out to us that we said we were going to do that in 2017, and we haven't even talked about it yet. So I am working on that, hopefully to have it in the packet for consideration at our next meeting, and maybe we can create it at our December meeting, or it might fall into the next year, but it's in the works.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Mr. Mann, you got anything?
No.
Mr. Brown?
Just have a question for staff. The Planning Commission appointment that we've just introduced, who's gone off the Planning Commission?
That was a trick question.
I'm not sure. I'm sorry.
All right.
Say the question. Maybe they're-
Just email me when you find it, if you don't mind.
Was it Ben Ellenbox?
No, he's been off for ages,
Oh, yes,
I think.
probably right.
I have no other updates, no.
I have none.
Nope.
Just another day.
Just another day?
Yeah.
What about,
Virginia, it's not.
what about council member updates? We got any of those?
Well, I would just want to congratulate our colleagues sitting here, Rudd, Barry, Todd. Looks like you're all getting reelected, which is excellent. Congratulations, and to just thank you for your service. Thank you for continuing in this work and in this job, and congrats on winning your campaigns. It's a lot of work and generally very thankless, so thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. I just want to point out I would have gotten more votes if so many people hadn't written your name in. So.
I am popular.
You are. I have nothing.
Nope.
Okay, with no other business before the council, we stand adjourned.